Hello everybody. This is Monty with Flowers by the Bunch. Today I wanted to show you how to make a horizontal floral design. And so most often we use a horizontal floral design as a centerpiece because it's long and low, so it works beautifully on a table for a centerpiece, or even on, you could actually use this same type of design on like the bride and groom's table, long and low in front of the table. But today I wanted to kind of demonstrate exactly how to put that together. So I wanted to show you first the blooms that I'm planning on using. I've got some beautiful oriental lilies that are a pretty pink color, very light in pink, so pretty, and they smell lovely. We've got some amnesia roses, which are kind of a pink with a hint of lavender, so it's an amnesia rose. I have some white Veronica. Veronica is more of a line flower, but most often we use it more of a filler. I have Safari Sunset. Safari Sunset is in the Protea family. It's a beautiful burgundy color. It works great for fall. It works great for anything that you need to add that hint of wine color to. I have Lemon Leaf or Salao. And then for my line in my foliage, this is Myrtle. So we're gonna get started. I have taken I'm gonna slide my flowers over. I have taken just a round design bowl. Now I know you're gonna think, why in the world is she starting with a round design bowl? You can really use any type of low profile container. This design bowl, we actually get from our floral wholesaler, our floral supply wholesaler. And so they're very inexpensive. You could also use a cereal bowl from the dollar store if you wanted to. You just need something that's going to be low and it needs to hold water. You want the reservoir to be able to be filled to hold enough water to water the flowers. I'm gonna take 1/3 of a block of fresh floral foam. Now I have taken this foam and I have soaked it in water. So it has been soaked. When you're using floral foam, do not ever use it dry. You always want to soak it first. So be sure to make a note of that. If you try to insert your blooms or your flower stems into dry foam, it's just going to clog that stem and cause it not to drink. So it's important to soak that foam first. What I'm going to do next is I am going to take some waterproof tape, and I am just going to tape that foam right into place. Now let me just say, one of the very most important parts of floral design, in my opinion, is good mechanics. You want to make sure that your flower arrangement is not going to fall apart. So it's very important that you tape things down. So I just used that green tape and I taped that foam into place. So it's not going to go anywhere. It's in place. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my foliage. I'm going to start with my greenery. Now, with a horizontal design, quite often when asking about a centerpiece, which this is going to be, I always discuss the type of table that my client has. Are you using this for a long low centerpiece? How many people are sitting at your table? So there's lots of questions to ask when designing flowers. This arrangement specifically would be used on more of an oval or a rectangle table. It would sit 6 to 8 people because it's going to be long and low in the center of the table. Now, the reason I ask those questions is because when you ask them, what does your table look like? What is the shape of your table? How many people will be seated at that table? What that's going to do is dictate the shape of the arrangement, the length of the arrangement, the size of the arrangement. Is it going to be for a centerpiece? Does it need to be low profile? So when you're sitting at the table, you can look over the arrangement and you can visit very easily. You have to ask all those questions just to make sure you get the right shape and the right style and the right height on the arrangement. So this arrangement specifically, I would say is going to be used on a long table, and so therefore I'm going to do it long and low. I'm going to start out with my length first for this arrangement. So I am going to use this myrtle. Myrtle is just a type of foliage that we get here in our flower shop. It's a long stem. I have honestly never seen myrtle growing, so I don't know exactly what it looks like when it grows. I do know that it smells really pretty, and it really works for height and for length in an arrangement. We like to use myrtle when making like roses, a dozen roses. We like the myrtle stems sticking up out of the roses because they give us, it just looks taller and showier with the length of the foliage. It works perfectly for this type of design also because it gives us wonderful length. I'm going to take my floral knife and I'm going to cut that stem at an angle, and I'm going to remove any of the foliage that might be stuck into my foam. So I have one stem. Now most of the time you want your stem to be about 1.5 inches long. I mean about 1.5 of the length of your foam. Now those rules are meant to be broken, so really it's all about how long you need the arrangement. So very often I will say, what are the dimensions? How long do you think you need that arrangement? And that's how long we will make it. A lot of times I will use a yardstick. I will set that right beside my arrangement, and I will be sure that I'm not going to make it too long. I am actually going to trim this down just a little bit. Next, I'm going to take my second stem, and I'm going to try to go with about the same length on the opposite side. So I am going to take it, I'm just popping it with my thumb. I'm cutting that stem at an angle with my floral knife, and I'm putting it on the opposite end. I'm going to move my greenery so you can see what I'm doing. So there's our length. You can see I'm long on both sides. Next, I'm going to come in with my foliage. So this is more myrtle. What I'm going to do is, you can see how it's got little lateral growth. So I'm going to take it, I'm going to pop it and strip that foliage, cut that stem at an angle, and I am just going to fill in. Now what you're going to do when you're adding this greenery to this foam is you don't want it to get too large. So I don't need it to be the same length all the way around because that would make a round arrangement. I want it to be long and low. So therefore I'm just going to add foliage right here in a compact in the center. So you're just going to add greenery right there in the center. You don't need it too tall. Again, you have to kind of think about where it's going to be placed. And this is going to be placed on a dining room table as a centerpiece. So I'm just taking this myrtle and cutting it into small pieces to fill in the center of the arrangement. Now you can always use your floral snips to cut your foliage. I personally just really like my knife, so I use a knife for most things. Okay, so I really don't need this extra stem of myrtle, so I'm going to set it to the side. Next, I'm going to come in with some lemon leaf. Now what this lemon leaf is going to do is it's going to cover my foam there in the center of the arrangement. If you look closely, you're seeing a lot of the foam showing. So I'm just going to take my floral knife. I'm going to cut this lemon leaf into small pieces, and I'm going to fill in the center. I'm really just covering those mechanics. It's important that you cover up that foam. We just don't want it to be shown. It's not pretty. So go ahead and cover it up. So I'm just taking my knife and I'm cutting them into smaller pieces. And I am just taking those little leaves and placing them right into that foam. All right, so there is our greened out arrangement. Now you can add a little more to give us a little more fullness on my knife on the floor. You can add a little more to give us a little more length and fullness in your length if you would like. But just kind of play with it. And really the type of foliage doesn't matter as long as you cover up the center of that arrangement. So there is our greened out arrangement. You can add any type of foliage. You can get creative and have fun with that, okay? The next thing I'm going to do, or the next flower, I'm going to focus on filling up the center of my arrangement, and then I'll focus on adding my horizontal lines. So to give us some focal flowers, I'm going to use these beautiful lilies. So these are going to be my statement, my focal, okay? So I'm going to take my floral knife and I'm just cutting that one bloom off that stem. And I'm going to tuck it right here in the center. I'm going to go ahead and remove the pollen from this lily. And the reason I like to remove the pollen is because it's going to stain the lily and it'll stain clothes and all the things. So I just go ahead and remove that pollen. I'm going to take my second bloom. I'm going to remove. And I'm just going to tuck him on the other side. Now when making a centerpiece, it's always very important that it's pretty all the way around, because people are going to sit all the way around the table, right? So it needs to be pretty all the way around. Next, I'm going to take these buds. Don't throw those away. They are pretty, and it's a good little added pop of that pretty lime green color. So go ahead and be sure to add those into your arrangement. So I just kind of tuck those over to the side. So there's our lilies, and on the back side there's a second lily, okay? Next I'm going to come in with my Safari Sunset. Now this is going to give us that length. That horizontal line is going to continue with our Safari Sunset. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my fingers and I'm just going to strip that foliage down, and I'm going to cut that at an angle. And I'm just tucking that stem right into that foam. Now you see what it's doing is it's drawing that color out to the side. I'm going to take my second stem, strip some of that foliage, and kind of tuck him down deep into that arrangement. So I have my length here, and then I came in more towards the center with another stem. I'm going to do the exact same thing on the opposite side. So I'm going to give us some length, cut that stem, strip that foliage, and press that stem right into that floral foam. And you want them to be about the same length. I'm going to take the second stem, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to, I keep dropping that knife. I'm going to actually place it opposite of this one. So I'm going to kind of go diagonal across that arrangement with the second stem of Safari Sunset. I don't know why I keep dropping my knives. I have butterfingers today. Okay, so I'm going to turn it. It's going to have water pour out. So I'm going to turn that arrangement so you can kind of see. So I have my two stems of lilies. I have one Safari Sunset on one side, another the same length on the other, and then I kind of went across from each other with the two in the center. Next, what I'm going to do is come in with these beautiful Amnesia roses. So Amnesia, gosh, it falls kind of between a lavender and a pink rose. And so what I'm going to do with these stems is I'm just going to fill in the center of this arrangement. Taking my floral knife, I'm going to cut it at an angle, and I am just going to tuck them throughout the center of this arrangement. I have 5 stems of these roses. So I placed one here, and I'm going to place one on the opposite side, on the back side here. Just going to grab my Lazy Susan so I can turn it easily for you. So I have one here, and then one here. It's kind of the opposite. Just keep in mind that you don't want it too tall. That's the main thing with this arrangement. You just don't want it too tall. All right, so I have my roses all the way throughout the arrangement. And I'm removing any of the petals that don't look pretty. But there's our roses all the way through. Next, we're going to add our very last flower in. So this is called Veronica. Now, Veronica is a perfect line flower. The reason we call it a line flower is because, of course, it's straight up and down, right? So it would give us great length, but you can also use it as a filler flower. So it would just add little pops of color throughout. Taking my floral knife, I'm going to cut that stem at an angle, and I am going to place it in this arrangement with length. So I'm adding a little more length to my arrangement. Now, if you want to soften the arrangement, I'm going to kind of pull this one, tilt it down just a smidge. If you want to soften this arrangement, you can certainly add some filler flower to it. If you had some cassia or some soft tree fern, you can certainly add that to it. I'm going to tilt this for you to show you again. But there is a horizontal flower arrangement. Guys, thank you so much for being here with me today. If you have any questions about how I put this arrangement together or the types of flowers that I used, please do not hesitate to ask that question down in the comments below. If you like this video, you can always check us out over on Facebook, where we do videos. We go live every day of the week, Monday through Friday, and I do videos for you there. Guys, I hope you have a wonderful day, and we will see you all real soon. Thank you so much.